Thank you.
Oh, good. Is it just us for right now? Okay. And there's Swan. All right. Let's see, what's today? 10/26. Well, what have you been thinking about this past week? What came up? Anything interesting? Are you doing anything big?
Sister Daniel is show us how to pronounce some of the words.
Good. Okay. And any particular word that's giving you problems?
Yes, some of the words are a little bit difficult for us because, as you know, our pronunciation is in Burmese. We don't have any practice tongue, and also like our tongue is a little bit difficult to catch up the pronunciation of the American or British accent, British pronunciation.
Right, right. I specifically remember one of my students having problems with TH. So that would be weather. And he was Thai, or he is Thai. He's, still with us. And then another student who is Korean having problems with F, coffee, because in their language, they don't have a F as in father or fun. And so that makes it difficult for Americans to hear copy. They don't put that together, that's really coffee that particular person is referring to. So yes, there are challenges with certain combinations that you may not have in your language. And what have you noticed what combinations those are? Like, for example, weather, TH.
Yeah, it's also totally difficult because when I attend the pronunciation class, the teacher taught us TH has two different sound. One sound is soft and one sound is vibration with the sound and like soft. At the time, we don't know how to pronounce that. We don't know how to put the TH sound is soft or vibrate. Yeah, like this.
Okay. Well, I do know that my Thai student practiced that, finding either, whether, finding that combination, THER, was helpful and practicing it over and over and over. His language teacher, which I was just his tutor, I was not his language teacher. So we would practice that when we were speaking, when we were working on reading and speaking. And so he would practice that with his language teacher. And he said at one point, she made him do whether, either, whether for about a half hour straight. And so he took it again. And he practiced it again at home and got lots better. He did much better when I was working with him, but that was, a year or so down the road. Anyway, welcome to the class. And I see Jack. Jack, this is a new class for you, is it? Or not?
No. I wouldn't attend this class before.
Okay. Well, today we are going to look at, we are going to look at action idioms. So Theda asked about an idiom, sleep on it. And if you remember last time, I thought she said leap on it. And to me, that brought around a thought of jump on it or get right on it. And so what I did was I went and I looked for those different combinations. And I also looked at other action idioms. We've done action idioms before, but it's been a long time. And so we're going to look at together, we're going to talk about some interesting action idioms that some of them are old, very old. Some of them like get right on it, that's pretty new. And so we'll look at that and work through some of those. And also what I'm going to do at the end is we'll review again. We'll do a little self-test and you can see how you're doing. Some of these we've actually done before. And so I will share, excuse me, we are having some interesting air here today. In South Korea, they experience weather quality changes based on other, factories that are a long way away. And those factories are not exactly taking care of their exhaust very well. Okay, let's see, today, let's start with the intro. Maria, would you like to read this one?
Yeah. Introduction. The idioms reflecting action are numerous. We dream about action-packed lives. We watch movies with action and adventure. Here are several you may remember. Jump off the deep end, jump on the bandwagon, jump the gun through a curve, throw in a towel, pull a fast one, pull strings, pull out all these stops. The most popular action idioms are related to becoming angry. As you're becoming more sensitized, is it
sensitized
to idioms, look for memes that use idioms. Look for funny YouTube videos that highlight these phrases. Share them in class. Everyone benefits.
Yes, everyone does benefit when you bring things that make you laugh or things that make you go, to the class. We all get something out of that, including me, believe it or not. They say that teachers learn more than students, and I find that to be true over the years. Jump off the deep end. Iris, would you like to do this one?
Yes. Jump off the deep end, meaning to act emotionally without carefully thinking about the end result. Become deeply involved before you are ready. Origin, you will not normally jump into the deep end of a swimming pool if you're not sure you can swim. If people follow their emotion without much thought, they could be caught in a lifetime of bad or awkward situations. Since the 19th, jump off the deep end has also meant going into a rage or having a mental breakdown. Example, Bill and Jenny just met, but they're getting married. They're jumping off the deep end. Related sayings, hit the roof, go for it, take the plunge.
So those related sayings kind of help you see the shades of that idiom. So the idiom is not always saying emotional response. Well, it is always saying emotional response, but sometimes it means, oh, they were angry. Other times it means they took action, like take the plunge. We have, we're going to look at a couple of vocabulary words here. Swam, would you like to read this one?
Yes, teacher. Vocabulary, awkward, hard to do or hard to deal with. Second definition, causing or feeling embarrassed or inconvenient to deal with. Mental breakdown, intense mental distress that causes a person to be unable to deal with the day-to-day functions of life, sometimes not able to carry out the basic functions of dressing or eating, etc.
Okay, so jumping off the deep end has a connotation or one of the shades of meaning of a mental breakdown. Now, during COVID, there was a lot of this. And in fact, mental breakdowns were much more common than normal because of isolation. Remember, that period of time, we were in isolation. So that kind of puts the person in a pressure situation, causing them not to have a way of release. Many times people go for a walk or they go for a jog. And when you're told you got to stay in your house no matter what, and your house is really just one room, that causes that person not to have an outlet for their emotions or their energies. So there was a lot of mental issues and awkward situations. Okay, next up, jump on the bandwagon. Sarah, would you like to read this one?
Yes, teacher. Jump on the bandwagon, meaning to become part of the newest activity. Origin, many years ago, campaigning U.S. political candidates often rode through town in a horse-drawn wagon, on which a small band would play music to attract the crowd. If the candidate was popular, people would jump on the wagon to show their support. Examples, last year, no one liked my idea for a fall festival on the school property. Now everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon after learning that the school across town raised several thousands of dollars. Related things. Join the group, get into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Campaigning political candidates had a lot of ground to cover. So in the long, long past, they would cover this ground with horse-drawn wagons, and they would also cover this ground with trains. So they would go, especially, and this is referring especially to the presidential campaigns, because imagine covering the vast United States would take, weeks, months, and months to cover in addition to your regular job. And so these candidates had to bring as many people and attract as many people to what they were saying by loud music and so on. So this action of jumping on the bandwagon was a way of people showing their support in real time. It was a very interesting time, and we are gonna look at, hold on a minute. If I can figure out how to do that well. Let's see if I can. I'm trying to, okay, there we go. All right. This is jump on the bandwagon.
In a minute. A bandwagon describes a vehicle that used to carry performers from a circus.
Jump on the bandwagon. Hey, how was your exercise class last night? What's it called again?
Water yoga. It's a popular new way to exercise. You should try it.
Anna, I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon, especially if it has to do with yoga.
Come on, Jonathan. Jump on the water yoga bandwagon. If you jump on the bandwagon, you join something that has already become popular. Actual bandwagons were first used for circus bands. Politicians also use them in campaigns to get attention. Today, the word bandwagon in this expression represents anything that is popular. And that's English in a minute.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Hello, I'm
Not now. All right, we are going.
Anna.
No,
Hi,
no,
I'm
no,
Katie.
No. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, that was jump on the bandwagon. And let's see. Hey Yoon, would you like to read this vocabulary slide?
Yes. Campaigning, an organized course of action to achieve a goal. Work in an organized and active way to achieve a particular goal, usually political.
Okay, so where I was working along 10 years ago or so, we would campaign, quote unquote, with our boss to get new products introduced into our company's catalog. So campaigning or jump on the bandwagon can also mean when you're trying to get support for other projects, not just political, but other projects or interests or proposals. Okay, next up. Jump the gun. All right, Theda, would you like to read this one?
Yes, jump the gun, meaning to do or say something before you should, to act hastily or prematurely. Already, this expression was heard in the early 1900s as to beat the pistol. It refers to someone starting the race before the starter pistol was fired. Later, the saying changed to jump the gun. Example, I could not wait to give my mom her Mother's Day gift. I jumped the gun and gave it to her a week early. She looked great in her new dress. The later saying, count your chicken before they hatch. Cross the bridge before you get to it.
So there's lots of ways to say act before you think about it, like take the plunge, et cetera, et cetera. Jump the gun, you know, they tracked it also to horse racing because the gun would be used to start the horses in their race. It was also used to start foot races. It was also used to start car races. So anytime you have a jump the gun, you're implying that you're starting before you should. Okay, next up, Jack, would you like to read this one?
Yes, I do. Drew a curve meaning to surprise someone in an unpleasant way, to mislead or lie. Origins from baseball, a phrase used in the 20th century. A tricky pitcher sometimes threw a carved ball that catch the batter of guard. This idiom also means to lie, confuse, or mislead someone. Example, my boss threw me a carved ball when he said that I have to work late the night of the baseball playoffs.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Next one. Throw in the towel. You may remember this one from some time ago. And Lynn, would you like to read this one?
Yes, teacher. Throw in the towel, meaning to quit or surrender. Origin first appeared in print around 1930. The phrase referred to the practice in boxing where the manager or boxer may decide to quit the match. This may occur because the boxer was beaten and too bloody to continue. The manager would throw a towel into the middle of the ring. The match would be forfeited.
Very good.
Example, George decided to throw in the towel after his hours work at the factory. He just could not take the inconsistencies in the hours and pay. The later saying, backing down, raise the white flag, give it.
So we've looked at throw in the towel before, and remember, it's related to boxing. And like baseball, boxing matches were discussed over the radio. So again, the radio announcer would make the phrases, or would give phrases, and again, those phrases would become used later on when people would discuss what happened at that, over that radio show. Okay, next up, Cece, would you like to read this short one?
Yes, teacher. Vocabulary: form, fight, looks or damn right, or the opportunity for success. Let go. An inconsistency,
Good.
inconsistency, unpredictable, no constant.
Okay, so forfeit, remember, throw in the towel means that they are giving up. They're letting go of the chance to win that match. Inconsistency, when we're looking at behavior, the inconsistency of a behavior. So in other words, it's unpredictable. So there are boxers that are predictable. And when their opponent goes to look at what they do, they say, oh, when they do this kind of punch, they're going to do this kind of punch next. When they move this way, they're going to do this next. So in the moment, they know, oh, Jack is very consistent. Well, if you have something that's inconsistent or not reliable or predictable, there's no way to pin down or expect what's going to happen. So the inconsistency leads to, you may have problems, or inconsistency can lead to success because other people don't know what to expect, especially when you're talking about that kind of a fight or that kind of an argument. So let's go to the next one. Pull a fast one. I don't know that we've ever read this one or looked at this one before. Is it Min Soo? Would you like to read this one? Did I get it wrong? Thang, would you rather like to read this one? Pull a fast one. We'll go back to Cece. Would you like to read this one?
Yes, teacher. Pull a fast one, meaning to dissect, to mastermind a track or decision. Origin from the angry sport of cricket and me to born a fact sport, later becoming popular American, either in reference to a fact shop fan of cocks on the fastball and baseball.
Okay. Then read the
Example.
example. Yeah.
My sister really pulled a fast one. She asked me to hold the paintbrush. Then she let me to finish painting alone. Example 2. My driver pulled a fast one. When she scheduled me to work a weekend, and I had originally asked for. Later saying, pull the wool over my eyes. Swindler called out
Fine.
of.
Okay. So let's talk about pull a fast one a little bit more. We've not looked at this one. Pulling a fast one. So there's 3 origins there. Okay. Cricket, card play, or baseball. Okay. Cricket, a game that they play, a sport that they play in England and British countries. Then card play, where the dealer may shuffle the cards and then deal them inappropriately to deceive. So they pull a fast one by dealing the cards in such a way so to deceive the people they are dealing to. Okay, so they deal very fast. Then 3, a fastball in baseball, which surprises the batter and causes them to either try to get that ball and miss, and in some cases, they hit that ball and really surprise everybody. So those origins help us to understand that pull a fast one is a deception. When we talk about, the related sayings, pull the wool over my eyes, that's a way of saying, oh, they pulled my hat down over my face or my eyes. Swindle is also a way to refer to someone who is conning or lying to get your money or property, or someone who is trying to steal something. So there are several interesting aspects of pull a fast one. And this is definitely an idiom that is used today in business, especially when you're talking about negotiating a contract. One company or the other might try to pull a fast one in the fancy wording in a contract. Okay, now we'll go to pull strings. Now, remember, this was a fun one where I used the scene from Sound of Music, where they're having the marionettes or the puppet play. Let's see. Theda, would you like to read this one?
Yes. Pull strings. To exert behind the scenes influence to secretly control others from a distance. To get what you want from others. Origin. Puppeteering.
Puppeteering.
Oh, puppeteering. Thank you. Puppeteering has been around for centuries, but the phrase can be traced to the 1860s. The artistry of manipulating the
Marionette. That's the
Oh.
puppet on a string.
Marionette. Marionette is quite entertaining, so phrases grew up around these shows. Example, Paul's company hosted a huge fundraising dinner. He pulled some strings to get a seat up front to watch the entertainment. The later saying, pull back, calling in favor.
Okay, so pulling strings, I'll have to show another video again about that, the way that they did the marionettes. This particular puppet show was very exciting, and it dates back to even Renaissance times, where they had a show called Punch and Judy. Punch and Judy were two marionettes, and they would pull the puppeteer, the person who was maneuvering or manipulating these puppets, made them talk, had different voices and so on. Pulling strings is about manipulation. It's about changing things behind the scenes where you think everything's happening, naturally. All right, now this is one where we want to spend a little bit more time. Pull yourself together. Swam, would you read this for us? No, I take it back. Hey, Yoon, would you read this one?
Yes, teacher. Pull yourself together, meaning to calm down and behave normally after an upsetting event. To compose yourself after being angry or upset. To regain your composure.
Very good.
Origin. This expression came into use in the second part of the 1800s. The word picture here is that the mind gets control of the body. Currently, work is being done in helping people gain control in the midst of
Yes.
panic attacks.
Very good.
Examples. Carol was masterful at controlling her emotions. As an experienced ER nurse, she could pull herself together to deal with any disaster that came in the door.
And related sayings. Keep calm and carry on. So when you think about the 1800s, we were dealing with a civil war. In other parts of the world, there were wars as well. Then came the First World War. During the First World War, the saying, keep calm and carry on, came into being. And today, we use the pull yourself together, meaning get your mind together so that your body will calm itself. So let's look at that for a minute. Okay. There's issues in our world today with a lot of anxiety and worry. And anxiety in your heart does you no good. Worry in your heart does you no good. All right. These two things are on the increase because we hear a lot of rumors, because we have a lot of time on social media, and often what we see on our phones, makes us anxious because we see things that are happening right away. Well, the challenge is to grab a hold of yourself and to deep breathe through that, get a hold of your body so that you don't have issues in your body, such as high blood pressure. Anxiety, worry, and stress can actually lead to cancer and other nasty diseases you don't want. So, taking measures to calm yourself, such as deep breathing. Now, what does deep breathing do for you? Deep breathing helps you increase the oxygen in your brain, which helps you to think more clearly. It also helps you in your body to relax your blood vessels. Okay? Drinking a cool glass of water, which people do not understand, but it works very well. And I'm talking about guzzle, 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 a cold glass of water. Because when the body gets this cold right down the middle, it shocks the body and changes. Okay? And you can actually thwart or keep a headache from getting worse by doing the cool glass of water. Thinking about your favorite place to rest is an important type of a mental break, if you want to call it that. Now, here's an interesting thing that I just learned in the last month. Speaking out loud. 5 things. Saying out loud 5 things you are thankful for, grateful for. You know what? When you think it and have to speak it, your brain is not engaged in anxiety then. This is an awesome piece of information to know. I am thankful that I woke up this morning. I am grateful that I am here to visit my children, grandchildren in South Korea. I am grateful that I had clean water to drink today, et cetera, et cetera. 5 things. Okay. Now, guys, I have to tell you, that is a really important thing. Speak it out loud. Even if you're talking to yourself while you're walking, like you're walking on the way to school or you're walking on the way to your job, and you've had anxiety or you had an upset or you had an argument with your family or your sister or your mom or whatever, turn that anxiety around by speaking out gratitude or thankfulness. Okay. Pulling out all the stops. Let's see. Next one, Sarah, would you like to read this? If you're not able, Lynn, would you like to read this one?
Pulling out.
Wait a minute, let me get it back. Okay, there you go. Pulling out all the stops. Lynn?
Pulling out all the stops, meaning to do everything possible to succeed. Origin. During the second half of the 20th century, the use of large pipe organs were used in many settings such as churches, sports stadiums, movie theaters, and the circus. when the organist wanted to get the fullest, most resounding sound, they pulled out all the stops. Example, tonight I'm pulling out all the stops. Candlelight dinners, flowers, a restaurant with a string quartet. Then I'll pop the question. The later saying, go for broke, bet the fam.
So my aunt is an organist. And in the past, some years ago, she played the organ in our church. And they had a very powerful organ with a lot of sound. So when she would do an anthem, or she would be playing on the organ as they brought in banners, she would pull out all the stops, meaning that this sound was very powerful and you could almost feel it in your body. I have to say, I went looking and I wanted to show you a clip of what this looked like or sounded like. The best way I know to explain it is if you can imagine the wedding, if you can remember the wedding with Princess Diana and Prince Charles, when the organ brought in the wedding march that brought in the bride, that's a good example of pulling out all the stops. So it's giving it all you've got. Okay. We'll go to this one. Theta, you said this one, so why don't you read this?
Yes, I will. And sleep on it, meaning to put off a big decision until at least the next day for the purpose of considering all the details. So, origin. This idiom dates back to the early 150s.
Yeah.
When finally someone decided to call the process of overnight consideration sleeping on it. Example 1. Ruth and her husband went to sleep on this latest offer for their house. The buyer really didn't give a great price, but the house has been on the market for a very long time. Example 2. The boss said that he would tell me tomorrow if I get the job or not. He had to sleep on it. Related saying, put off, reconsider. Thank you.
Okay, so sleeping on it is a way of saying, I really need to think about it. And sometimes people use that to put off. Now, let's use that example 2 for a minute. The boss said he'd tell me tomorrow if I get the job or not. Now, sometimes when you're in a hiring situation, they don't want to have a face-to-face with you. They want to call you on the phone and say, no, we decided not to, because they don't want to see you when they give you bad news. They want to thwart or not be there when you are feeling awkward, okay? So sleeping on it can have a negative aspect. All right, next up. All right, so the opposite to sleeping on it is get right on it. All right, so Cece, would you like to get right on it?
Yes, teacher. Get right on it, meaning to begin the text immediately. Origin, say and use at a business setting. Example, when Aunt Ryder discussed the project online with her, we did not expect that she would get right on it. Check grandmother said that he has used a foreign code in his science.
Guess what?
experiment.
That was a wrong one. Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. Go ahead on to
Related
related
sayings.
sayings.
Later sayings, can the ceiling Brought your top. Blown your stack.
Also, my mistake. Get right on it might be take the plunge. So guess what? I was wrong there too. So get right on it might be take the plunge, might be jump the gun even. Okay, so gosh, I made some mistakes today. All right, another one that came up last time, and I can't remember if this was Maria, but I think so. Maria, would you like to read Play It by Ear?
Play it by ear, meaning to act spontaneously without a
Good.
previous plan. Origin, the Oxford English Dictionary shows the first citation is from a brief introduction to the skill of music, 1658, by John Playford, learning to play by rote or ear without a book, the mark of true musician. Example, Anne's director encouraged her to learn her music and play it by ear. It gave her greater freedom when performing. Related saying, go with the flow.
Okay, so remember last time I gave the example of jazz musicians who play together for a long time. So they know the harmony or they know the melody that they want. And the musicians that are playing along might actually use different chords at different times. And so this playing it by ear is a harmonious meeting, all right? But it may be spontaneous, okay? All right, so let's look at that in, let's look at that from English in a Minute. Hold on. Because play it by ear. Here we go.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Your sense of hearing is important, especially when you sing or play an instrument.
Play it by ear.
So is this expression about music? Are you coming on the camping trip?
I'm going to have to play it by ear. I might have to work.
You work on weekends?
No, not usually, but I'm hoping the boss will need me then.
I really don't like nature.
Really don't like nature.
If you play it by ear, you wait to decide to do something until a situation develops. You do not make a formal plan ahead of time. This expression does in fact come from music. The phrase first meant to be able to play a song after hearing it without looking at sheet music. And that's English in a Minute.
Okay, so we'll go out of there and okay, so that was play it by ear. Now, let's do a quick review. We'll review the action idioms. Iris, would you like to read this list?
Yes. Popular action items. Jump off the deep end. Jump on the wet bandwagon. Jump the gun. Get right on it. Throw a curve. Throw in the towel. Pull out all the stops. Pull yourself together. Sleep on it. Pull a fast one. Pull strings.
Okay, so those are the idioms we're going to look at for a minute. Get out scratch paper or whatever you want to, and we will look at the first group of 6. And what we'll do, how about if we do this? Sarah, would you read the idioms on the left? Just read the list, Sarah. Hey Yoon, if Sarah's not here, would you go ahead and read the list?
Yes. Get right on it. Throw a curve. Jump off the deep end. Pull a fast one. Throw in the towel. Pull yourself together.
Okay, and Swam, would you read the list or the meanings on the left?
Yes, teacher. Meaning, A, keep calm after an upset. B, surrender. C, start a task immediately. D, an expected change. E, a con or deception. F, decide something emotionally.
Okay, so I'll give you just a minute or two and put together the idiom with the meaning. Okay, now let's go to the next one. And these are the answers for get right on it. C, start a task immediately. Maria, go ahead and read the idioms with the meaning, starting with number 2.
A call. An unexpected change, jump off the deep end. Decide something emotionally. Pull a fast one. A con or deception. Throw in a towel. Surrender. Pull yourself together. Keep calm after an upset.
Okay. Before we go to the next group, let me remind you that you can look at the class again if you want to remind yourself of these idioms, and then use the idioms as you are in conversation during the week. Remember that the use of idioms in conversation is one of the ways that you demonstrate your fluency of American English. Same is true of British English too, but we're not studying British idioms. That's a whole different bunch. So let's look at this one. Did I have Cece read? Would you read the idioms on the left, Cece?
Idiom. Jump on the barrel. Jump the girl. Pull strings. Pull out on the stalk. Sleep for nap.
Okay. And Iris, would you read the meaning on the right?
Give it all you have. Manipulate things secretly. Take some time to make a decision. Premature start. Join others in new trendy activity.
Okay. So go ahead and gosh, how'd that get there? Go ahead and match up those idioms, write those down. Okay, is Andy with us?
Yes, teacher.
What do you think jump on the bandwagon means?
I think the answer is E, join others in a new trendy activity.
Exactly. Jack, was that Andy? Yes. I'll go next to Maria. Jump on the gun. What do you think that one means?
I think it's give it all you have, but I'm not sure.
Remember, jump the gun was about racing. And so that was starting before the gun went off. So that's D, premature start. Next, swam, pull strings.
E, manipulating secretly.
Okay. Fang, would you like to answer the next one? Pull out all the stops. So pull out all the stops means give it all you have. And last, sleep on it. Theda?
C, take some time to make a decision.
Very good. Okay. There's the answers there. And today, I'd like to ask you, was there any one of these crazy little idioms that made you laugh? Or you said to yourself, I'm going to use that one. Anybody?
By the way, Mrs. Esther, I have a question, but I want to know what does the premature mean?
Okay, so a lot of times you'll hear premature relating to babies, okay? They are born before they are fully mature. So pre, before, mature. So pre, before we should really start. So premature, before the time is right. So anytime you see pre, P-R-E, that is a prefix meaning before. Okay, another question. Oh, Lynn. Lynn, did you have a question?
No, teacher.
Oh, okay. And Thang, did you have a question earlier? Okay. Well, next time, what we will be doing is we will be looking at idioms about going, where we go, how we go, up, down, around, through, because a lot of idioms have to do with that kind of movement, forward motion, okay? And let me just pray for you before we leave, because we're in an interesting world.